like sags down to the side.
My top's too fucked up. Like, there's a huge hole like in this area.
Cam was just like, I got perfect hair. So
I do. I have
suck
perfect
my
hair.
fucking nads.
But more than me having perfect hair, we are live, ladies.
Hey.
Ladies, no gentlemen today, just ladies.
I'm a lady.
Well, I mean, sure. Hey everybody, welcome to another new episode of To Be Determined. We are a multimedia podcast about stuff. I'm Cameron. I'm your wonderful host and creator of said show and other podcasts.
How many has it been?
How many has it been? Let me think. How many has it been? We had the Reaver podcast, then we had the Post Game Lobby, and then we had what was the other one? Nostalgia Incoming, and then we have this. So technically four.
It's a good amount of podcasts for a lifetime.
Until you started counting, I had forgotten about Nostalgia Incoming because it was.
Oh shit! Don't mind me messing with the interface here, guys. I'm just making sure everybody's webcams are in the actual place they're meant to be. Fucking Tyler and Ethan are the only ones that need to fix here.
Wow, me needing fixing, that's pretty new.
It's true. How are you guys doing? I've been busy
Pretty
most
good.
of the week, so.
Had a boring ass weekend of work
Yeah?
the last couple of days.
Yeah, you work
Minus
on the weekend.
Saturday.
Fuck.
I don't work on Saturdays. Because when I started my job, we were still doing the original podcast. I was like, man, my Saturdays are spoken for. I can't be working on Saturday.
That's right. You would
I
always
got
have to
important
set it
shit
off.
to do.
It's true. How about the rest of you guys? Have you been good? Or?
Yeah, I've been doing pretty good. Just slowed it down on schoolwork.
Fuck, tell me about it.
Pretty common for anybody in college. Just reading a bunch of very dense books.
The life of a college kid.
But other than that, things are going pretty well. So, pretty excited to be back here for another week of the podcast.
Nice. How about you, Gordon? How you doing, buddy?
Oh boy. Getting cut on my Saturday shift, not working that day. Barely. Having like a little bit of a flip-flop of, hey, we need you on Sunday, and then
Hey, we
don't need you, and then we need you again.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. And then went out drinking today for my birthday. So
Well, you're not wasted
Hey.
like you promised me you would be.
It's because I thought I would be going out at like 6 or 7, but instead they decided to go out for dinner at 4:30. I was like, am I turning 21 or am I turning 80? Like, what the fuck?
5.
5 years old,
Apparently.
yeah.
What the fuck?
Cool.
That was fun, man.
Because you have family over? That's the case, right?
They actually left,
Oh.
like right after. That's why they went to dinner so early. It was,
That's like my
they
family.
left straight from the restaurant, yeah.
They'll come for like the afternoon and then just like leave in the evening. So.
Hey, I
Cool. Have you guys been up to anything fun and interesting this week that we can talk about specifically?
I've had like a really hard homework assignment.
What do you? Oh yeah, because so you're
multimedia.
doing just so that everybody knows you're doing film, correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's cool.
So, what the one class that I had this semester is called cinematic grammar.
Yeah.
So it's basically like the whole picture's worth 1,000 words thing
Yeah.
is being taken quite literally. Like we're having to do specific assignments to get like a point across with whatever images that we're taking. And so this week we've got 3 prompts where we have to convey quote unquote do not enter, safety first, and you can't have your cake and eat it too. The third one, I had to like, I had never heard that phrase before, so I had to like look it up to see what it meant.
Yeah.
It's basically you can't have the best of both worlds, to put it in like extreme layman's terms.
Yeah.
So I've just been having to like rack my brain to like think of what I could do to like convey those thoughts.
Yeah.
But then we also have to like, we have to do certain like cinematic techniques in each picture. We had like 4 to pick from, and we could do like
rule of thirds, shit like that.
Well, rule of thirds was implied. We had to
Okay.
do stuff with like leading lines, you know, where you have like a convergence point, which is the subject.
Yeah.
Frame within a frame. So like, if in my webcam if that is the frame, this would be kind of like a frame within a frame if I had like a box around my
head. Yeah, I got you.
Stuff like that, just like really
you have to choose
kind of like
that's cool.
Drive home whatever point that we're trying to get across, and it's been kind of
nice.
Like the hardest one we've had yet, at least in my opinion.
What about you two? Anything?
Well, I'm actually I'm currently in a digital history course, and this sort of ties into the whole multimedia aspect of it. But the whole point of that course is to take unconventional means to sort of display and tell stories through history.
Unconventional memes.
So we use particular applications like Timeline.js, which is just like a digital timeline application where you can go through, and Story Map, which is through the same people, where you basically, it's like Google Maps, but you can like add information to it, and just a lot of really cool, interesting things like that. So
that's cool.
But nothing like super interesting so far.
And you're in school, right, too, Gordon?
Yes, I am. I'm not really doing too much exciting this semester, at least as far as like media stuff goes. I'm just in like a theater course, an IT course, and a English course.
So you've just got a broad spectrum of stuff, yeah.
Kind of still trying to figure out stuff. So.
Well, that was Tyler for a while. Like you had like rock climbing and like other random shit.
Well, that's the random shit is just like electives.
Those were general electives, okay.
It's yeah. I figured while I was in my first college that I'd just do like a whole bunch of PE electives because I like moving around and doing shit. Like I took rock climbing, like pace walking, and I didn't even walk. I just ran the entire time because I like running.
Sounds more interesting.
Did you pass the class?
Yeah.
How do you fail like a rock climbing class?
Well, no, pace walking. It's like
no, but I want to know how you fail a rock climbing class.
You don't show up to class.
I guess
maybe you're scared of heights.
Okay, that's fair.
Like half of that class was learning how to tie knots because we had to like tie ourselves into the wall.
And carabiners and shit.
Yeah. So stuff like that.
Man, I went
which is actually proving kind of useful lately because to be like a set grip, which is like rigging and tying knots and shit. Yeah. Like I have to know how to tie knots, so it comes full circle.
True. Yeah, I've been with carabiners. I've been treetop trekking once. That shit was fly. Like that was
talking about like the stuff where you like climb the trees and
they'd have like ladders and stuff, and then they'd have like obstacles up in the trees. But every time you get to a new obstacle, you'd like latch yourself into like a hook, and then like there were zip lines and stuff as well. It was cool. I've only done it once, but I'd love to do it again. It was.
Those things are awesome.
There's a place that Angela and I went one time. It's called Wonderworks.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got something kind of like that up in the like in one specific area of the. I want to call it a museum because it's basically like a science museum.
Yeah.
Like a general science museum. Like
go
and find out how static electricity works and how like I think my favorite part of it was there's this bucket like at the very beginning of the building that has water in it that you can stick your hand in. And it's supposed to be the temperature of the water that the Titanic sunk in, and so you're supposed to see like how long you would last with just your hand in the water.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, it was fucking cold. I lasted only like 20 seconds.
That sounds terrible.
Tyler dead in minutes. That's all that means.
Yeah. There wasn't space on the door.
No, there was.
There was space on the door.
If anybody's interested, I am in a game development course where I'm specializing in 3D modeling, and this semester my project for the whole semester is to build an exterior diorama. Last semester was an interior diorama, so I've got like a whole bunch of random shit like I need done for, especially this week. Like I have a bunch of like environment stuff, so I need rocks and trees and like grass and stuff due for Friday this week, which I've got mostly done. And then one of our other classes, which is called Studio Lab, is more or less like a work period class. So you go in and you just kind of work. he has assignments, but he doesn't want any of the props that we're doing for our other class. So he's basically said, like, hey man, like, as long as you're not submitting stuff from your other class, you're good. You can build, like, you can make whatever you want. So my first assignment, which he wasn't explicit about that at the time, I made Artorias' greatsword from Dark Souls, which is actually in my diorama, but he hadn't been specific enough to tell us that yet. But my current prop that I'm working on is Crom's Falchion from Fire Emblem Awakening. So
I will say, dude, like, your stuff has actually been... It's gotten a lot better.
I'm getting a lot better.
Stuff on Twitter.
And, like, I was complaining in the call earlier that the way... I'm going to speak a bunch of stuff nobody's going to understand, so I'll try my best to explain it, is we work in two different workflows. We make a high polygon version of our prop, which basically has all the details, and it has like all the finer extra details, and then once we're finished that, we basically duplicate all of our pieces and get rid of all the extra stuff. That's called our low polygon, and we basically fit it inside of our high polygon, so it's kind of encased by it, so that when we go and texture it, it has all the details from the high poly without any of the extra stuff, so that it doesn't like take up as much space in a game. So like,
wouldn't that also like
cost
enable you to have well, I mean, enable you to at least the player to have like the option to like drop graphical settings so that they can
yeah,
better.
generally,
like, say if it's like a PC game,
the way that works is I forget what the name of it is. We learned it last semester, where especially depth, field of view, stuff like that. If you're further away from something, you can set it so that its field of view is whatever number, let's say 5. So whenever you're 5 away, whatever 5 is, it will show that like version of.
Oh, okay.
So say you've got like a barrel. You're right in front of the barrel. You see all the textures. You see all the nitty gritty. You move 2 away. It's now considered 2, and it will be lower quality, more pixelated, but it's from a distance, so you wouldn't necessarily know it's lower poly. And it's stuff like that where you're constantly making it less and less intensive, so that by the time it's completely off the screen, it's just completely bamfed out of the actual set itself.
Yeah.
And it's all just cost and resource management, where you need your stuff to be like a lot of studios will give you like a deadline or like a maximum of polygons you're allowed. And I know we had this in first year, where it's like, you're free to make whatever you want, but it can only be like 10,000 polys or something. So you're constantly checking to make sure that you're within your fucking
your
parameters, and that you're not overstepping the boundaries. And if you can get rid of extra stuff, do it, because there's no need for it. So, but I've found like my workflow is not the best. I'm kind of slow at making stuff, because I go about it at a very fucking janky way. I try and just build what I think instead of building broader shapes. And then that goes and bites me in the ass, because when I'm trying to make my low poly, I have the fucking ugliest looking shit I need to work with now. So
I mean, that's what the low poly's for, though.
No, but it's like it doesn't. There's these things called n-gons, where you'll have a bunch of vertexes and vertices on a polygon that don't go to anything. So now you have like an extra thing, and you have to like go ahead and make a cut and a line. And it's just a pain in the ass. So that's the issue I'm having with my sword right now.
Craft.
That's the issue I'm having with my sword right now. So
yeah, just make a Minecraft sword and send that in as your final project.
It's just a bunch of random words I'm saying at this point now. So
I gotta say, this makes me glad that I'm a history student, and not
honestly
3D modeling or computer science.
It sounds a lot worse than it is, because polys and whatnot are just words that you don't ever like. It's just.
How many times do you run into the word tessellation?
Never.
Yeah, really.
I never run into the word tessellation.
That's the big one.
Wow.
You run into that one, you run into some big shit.
Gaming wise, this week I haven't really played much.
I've been playing like nothing but The Witcher.
Okay, yeah, you've been playing The Witcher 3.
Like, holy crap, that game's amazing.
That game's dope. I can't get into it. I don't know why. It's kind of boring to me for some reason.
My buddy Miles actually he was asking me like for game suggestions, and that was the first game I suggested. Mostly because it was what I was playing at the time. He's like, "Nah, I can't really get into." He was like, immediately shrugged it off. I was like,
"It's a good game.
What?
It's a good game. It's just not for me."
What?
I think.
You know, I could agree with that. I'm having a bit trouble getting back into it. I played it 12 or 15 hours somewhere around in there, and I just don't feel like I'm getting anywhere with it.
Yeah, it just feels like you're always at kind of like a standstill. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like any RPG though, right?
I mean, I guess.
Some just suck you in. You just keep playing and you don't realize it. But you know, I'm having the same problems with Final Fantasy.
Yeah, that's true.
Final
I guess.
Fantasy 15. You know, I've played it like 4 or 5 hours. I just haven't touched it. I've just wanted to play other things instead.
See, the thing with Final Fantasy 15, and I said this back when I beat it, and I stand by my judgment with this, even after like it's been out for a while now, is that it was my game of the year for last year, and I'll be the first to say that it's a flawed game. There's no way it's not. It has a lot of issues with it, but I think most of the issues I can look past personally, which is why it's my game of the year. Like I can look past like the disjointed story because I think it all comes together at the end fairly nicely. I think the gameplay is great. I know a lot of people had issue with it, and that's fine. Like some people just aren't gonna be into it. Some people will say it's boring, which is fine. I can completely understand their justification for that. But I've just recently been played that a bit today. I mean, I don't really play much anymore. I play Overwatch from time to time, and then I'll play Fire Emblem when I'm on the train to school.
Oh my god, I was already getting kind of burnt out on it last week when we did the show, but like
Heroes.
I have like really plateaued.
Yeah, I'm the same. I've basically finished everything. I have like 4 levels left worth in Lunatic that I don't.
Yeah,
my team can't like beat them anymore, even though they're like
you
max
have
level.
to have like 4 5-star characters.
You need to have 4 5-star characters, and one of them has to be Takumi, and one of them has to be Hector. Like you can't get past some of the levels without like those 2 characters specifically, because
it just gets to the point where the RNG just feels super cheap.
And then even then, like I have Takumi, and I can't kill stuff with him anymore because like it's just they'll just one shot me because reasons being. So I don't know.
Yeah. As far as this week goes, I'm quite happy. Tonight I finally fixed my Stardew Valley after about 7 months of it not working.
10 minutes before the fucking show.
Is that why you guys were linking Stardew mods?
Yeah, I was. I was like, I didn't even know we had mods we could fucking download for this game.
Yeah, I got it fixed about half an hour before the show started, and I'm like, shit, well, I can't really play it right now
because we gotta fucking talk for 2 hours.
I don't even remember what there were even mods for that game after the live stream fails.
What's the like premise of that game really? I know
Stardew Valley. You're like
it's like.
I love
like farming micromanagement.
So it's kind of like a Harvest Moon. You're like an office worker, and your grandpa dies, and in his will he leaves you his farm. So you quit your job, and you go live at this farm. And it's literally Harvest Moon. You're making your farm. You're talking to people.
But top down and pixelated, right?
It's top down. It's more like isometric, third like. Almost, you know what I mean?
I think of like an older Legend of Zelda game.
Okay.
Yeah,
in terms of how the camera is.
It's really good. Like,
I haven't seen like any gameplay of it.
I have issue with
it's so diverse, which is the best part about it, in my opinion.
I have issue with games like Animal Crossing and Harvest Moon where I get like super bored while I play them.
Really?
Because I said this the other day. I don't stand by it anymore, but what I said is I think it gives me too much freedom. Like it doesn't give me goal. I need a goal to go towards, and I don't like games where you have to set your own goal because then I'm like constantly diverging from it, and I'm like never getting back to what I like had set. So it's just there's too much to do and not enough time.
My goal in that game is to fish nonstop, and that's what I do. My character wakes up and I leave and I go down to the ocean, or I go down to the
24 hours of in-game.
And I fish for 12 hours until my character's out of stamina. I go home and I go to sleep.
I mean, it's like you go in, you farm, you fish, you marry one of the characters, and then you just keep playing. Like, there's no end to it.
I mean,
Yeah.
because it's like it's not even just the fishing, because you have like the actual farming, which you have to do on the side. You have the entire mine system where you have like your little combat levels and all that stuff.
Yeah, you're micromanaging and stuff.
Yeah, and you can get better like rods and spades and stuff and all that shit.
Yeah.
It's so vast, which is what I like about it. But I kind of play that game the same way that I play Animal Crossing, in which I'll play it obsessively for weeks.
That's
and
what
then
I
I'll
did.
just drop it.
That's what I did when I got New Leaf, or whatever the one for the 3DS is.
Yeah, New Leaf.
Yeah, they did New Leaf.
So, sticking on the topic of Stardew here, I'm just going to say this now because we do have some people in chat. This week, we are doing a bit of a giveaway. So if you're in the chat, please be active within the last, 10 minutes of the show. We have a bunch of games that I'm going to be giving away that were part of the Humble Freedom Bundle that I personally am not going to play. So I figured what better way than to just give them away to people who are coming to watch the show. So at the end of the show, I will be doing a raffle inside the chat, so you have to be active when the chat when time comes. I'll mention it again at the end. All you really have to do is just type in the chat and make sure that you're good to go.
Like PogChamp in the chat.
Yeah, people who are mods in the chat, people who are mods in the chat, I have taken you off the docket just because. Come on, guys, really.
Come on.
I will probably
spend money too impulsively to not have every single game on that list.
I'm probably gonna pick a few people in here. I'm gonna give away probably 3 games to 3 people. I'll give you a bunch of stuff you can choose from, and it'll be in order. Whoever gets chosen first can choose the first 3 games, etc., etc. So, 3 winners, 9 games total, and then anything that's left over, we'll potentially give away in the future, or I will give away to the fucking mods later. Most likely we'll give away them later. If you are interested in finding what games are on the list, I'm sure you can Google Humble Freedom Bundle games. I've only redeemed 10 because there's only 10 games I'm going to play. So keep an eye on that, and when time comes, I'll mention it again so you can be active in the chat. Just because I want you to be active at the end, because being active now does nothing for the raffle later on. So
I just posted a link in the Twitch channel.
Awesome.
For anybody to look at and find the games that are within the Freedom Bundle, in case anybody's interested in looking at those and seeing what they might find interesting.
Nice. So
you just have to guess which one of the ones that Camp hasn't redeemed already.
Fuck. I will tell you.
That's the hard part.
I will tell you now.
If you
which
can
ones
guess
I have
all 10 that he redeemed, I will buy you a game on Steam.
Oh shit.
That is a lie. I won't actually do that.
I have redeemed. So people
Empty
know.
promises.
So people know that you can't get these games because I've redeemed them. I've redeemed The Witness, Day of the Tentacle, Overgrowth, Octodad, World of Goo, No Time to Explain, Ellipses, Stardew Valley, Mini Metro, Nuclear Throne. I think I've redeemed Streamline. I don't think I did. I already have that. I've redeemed Grav and System Shock. Everything else is up for grabs. That includes Invisible Ink, Mushroom 11, The Stanley Parable, Guacamelee, 2064 Read-Only Memories, and a bunch of other actually really awesome games, including Tower of Guns, which I haven't redeemed it, but if you don't grab that, I will. So
nice.
So yeah, just keep that in mind, guys. Anyway, just so that's out. We have a few topics we want to talk about tonight. Tyler's going to start us off with one, and then we'll...
You skipped my week, dude.
Oh, no, Gordon, what did you do this week, my friend?
Dude, I played so many games this week.
And how much of it was Overwatch?
Hey, man.
Hey, don't judge.
I know,
me and your boy Joe.
I know you and Joe stay up till 4 in the morning playing
My ult is almost back into not back into. I almost have 2 accounts in Masters now. Feeling good.
Nice.
All right. So on top of all the Overwatch that I've played, I've actually been playing a lot of League. I don't know why, because that game just makes me hate myself more
you have been
than I already do.
What?
Yeah, I don't know. I have this stigma where I want to get back into Diamond every season, and lethality ADs are like the only way to do it for me right now. So that's been going on.
Well, it's the only way to play the game right now, so you're not far behind everyone else.
It's super fun though. Like I love playing Jhin to the point where I could probably play him every game, and that's what I'm doing, and I love it. It's great. So there's been that. I've been playing a lot of Guitar Hero actually recently. You could see on my Twitter, I posted my first FC. I full cleared the wonderful song "7 Things" by Miley Cyrus from 2008. The game is great. Like purchasing this controller off eBay was one of the greatest things.
So you purchased an actual Guitar Hero controller, right?
Yeah, it's an Xbox 360 controller. Then I just USB plug it into my computer, download GH3 Plus, some of the add-ons. I can get any track listing from any of the games, even going into the what's it called, Rock Band and all that. But I'm too lazy for those. Other than that, I've been playing Steep, but I will always be playing that game.
That's the snowboarding game, isn't it?
Yes,
that actually looks pretty fun.
Extreme action sports game by Ubisoft. The wonderful people there.
Shoutouts to my fucking professor Billy Matt Junis, lead level designer on a hit game. Fucking what was it? Splinter Cell Blacklist.
Splinter Cell Blacklist.
I have that game.
That game is dope. Okay, you know what? I played it because he did a level. I was like, you know what? I want to get to the level he made just so I can see how it is. I'm not gonna lie, that game is really good, and the level he designed is actually the best in the game. So,
yeah, Steve, that game, I remember getting hyped as fuck when that game was coming out in E3 because I'm the type of person that, like, all my childhood I played tons of Tony Hawk games, SSX, all that shit.
Yeah.
So this game coming out when they announced it at E3, I was freaking the fuck out. The weird part about it though is that it has this mechanic called the G-force meter, which depending on like the amount of fall or like the distance that you drop, or like if you don't land a spin or a flip perfectly like straight, it'll like lower your meter. And when it first came out, it was the most frustrating mechanic I've had to deal with in a very long time, because you will just land things that make sense, but because you're dropping from too high, it'll just immediately make you fall for no reason, which is especially difficult when a lot of the later missions are like huge backcountry type runs with like huge drops to the point where it's almost impossible to do it. Luckily, like a week or two ago, they nerfed the G-force meter, so it actually is a lot better now than it was, and it's doing a pretty good job of scratching that like itch for like a new extreme action sports game. Because you know, last SSX was like On Tour, I think.
I got an SSX game.
Yeah, I do believe On Tour was the last SSX game to come out.
Like that game was great. I don't know why they didn't keep going.
I got some SSX game off of Games with Gold for the 360, and it's like it's
awesome.
Yeah,
it was SSX for the 360.
It's awesome. I'm not good at it. Like I'm not good at it, but it's sweet, and like I don't know, the game's cool. Like
the SSX games have a very significant play style that's a lot different than a lot of other sports games. So
yeah, that's actually the one thing about Steep is that they're looking for more of like a skate type of gameplay, because the entire way that you do tricks in that game are that you will jump using the right trigger, and you will use left and right trigger respectively for your hands, and then you will just move your control sticks to grab. Like you don't use the face buttons for anything in that game other than like resetting. So it's definitely interesting. You can see that they're trying to push the bar, while everybody else in the world just kind of wants them to release a new skate. But
I'm included in that group.
Until that game gets put onto the PC, I probably won't be playing it anytime soon because I don't have money for consoles, or I don't really want to put in money for it.
Fair enough.
But yeah, that game is a lot better. People are getting really angry about it because they're putting up they have a currency that you get for like completing challenges and stuff, and they have it where you can just straight up buy that currency if you want.
Microtransactions,
and like it's so stupid. People complaining about it though because like it's only to buy the cosmetics in the game, but the cosmetics aren't even difficult to get. Like the game is not a hard game. Like I don't know why people are complaining about it. Like maybe it is difficult. I don't know. Maybe
just like super jaded about.
From the little I've played it. Yeah, from the little I've played it, it's a game that takes a little bit of getting used to, but it doesn't seem like in the long run it'd be that difficult of a game. I mean, people thought Skate was difficult because they were so used to Tony Hawk, which is about as simple as you can get. And then 6 months later, everyone says Skate's like one of the best games to ever come out. So
Skate is one of the best.
I love that
game. Is so much fun.
Skate 3 specifically.
Really, 3?
I love Skate.
I like 2 the best. 3.
I think 2 is the best.
Yeah, I'm with
Skate 3. Skate 3 is awesome.
Because like the Hall of Meat in Skate 3 was just put together in a way that kind of turned me off of it. Because the part about Skate 2 was that the Hall of Meat you could just do anywhere in the world, whereas in Skate 3 they like put it up for you, and it gets almost like too easy because it like just puts you on the top of a giant building. It's like, okay, just jump off, and it's like that's it.
Game's awesome. I don't care.
Oh no, the game is
still
great.
a great game, but
the environments were probably
2.
some of the best, but like I don't know. That's like my one gripe with it.
Cool.
But I love that game to death.
Steep, everybody, go and get it now. I don't know what fucking console it's on, but go get it.
It's on everything. It'll actually even be on the Switch in
everything that's not PC? Question mark.
I don't know.
I don't know.
No, it is on PC.
It's
on PC.
Go
I
get
have it on
it.
Steam.
If it's an Ubisoft game, it should be on PC. They're usually pretty good about multi-platforming.
Does it go
I'm
through
also
Uplay? That's my question.
It does.
It probably would.
You know
what?
Yeah.
Uplay, I because I've been playing Assassin's Creed 3.
It's better than Origin.
Origin's getting.
Everything's
you know
better
what?
than Origin, in my
We'll
opinion.
talk about this in a sec. Uplay's not that bad. I was playing Assassin's Creed 3 like a month ago, and
really not.
Uplay's like it's really not that bad anymore. It used to be really bad. Yeah.
Yeah, it used to be cancer.
It's like a little annoying, especially if you buy Ubisoft games through Steam.
Yeah.
I mean, like most games you already run through Steam, but like you open it with Steam, and then it's like, all right,
now once you play, yeah.
Fuck.
Pretty sure I read somewhere. This could be a lie. I don't know. I don't know if I didn't backtrack this. I just saw it somewhere that Origin is getting a subscription-based model where you have to subscribe for like $30 a year or something.
How about fuck you, EA? If that's true, that's
money grabbing.
I guess they have like loyal fans on Origin, so the people who would pay for that are already on Origin and probably wouldn't mind.
People that play Battlefield.
EA is now offering Origin access for $30 annually. Cost for membership has effectively been halved by the publisher. If you've been eyeing Electric Arts Origin access program but felt the price was too steep, I guess it's some like premium version of Origin.
EA has something called EA Access.
That would be this.
At least on the Xbox. It might possibly be on the PlayStation as well. That it is sort of, you get additives to paying for EA Access. You get, you get a discount on new games that come out, new EA games that come out. I think you also get
a bunch of free games.
Yeah, I think you get free games. I think you get a discounted price on season passes and DLC. So that may just be, they may be adding that to Origin. I think that what that might be, if it's EA Origin Access, because they already have EA Access.
Yeah, on the FAQ here it says, what is Origin Access? Glad you asked. Origin Access is a PC gaming subscription. Membership unlocks The Vault, a growing collection of great PC games you can download and play as much as you want. Plus, members get to try new EA games before they've been released at no extra cost and score an automatic 10% discount on Origin purchases, including full games, pre-orders, DLC, and FIFA points. So, that is what Origin Access is. I did not know what this was, so what I've learned now is that the $60 annual fee is now halved to $30. So, actually, that's not so bad. $30 a year for a bunch of free games, like.
It's really not. I'm not personally part of EA Access just because I buy one EA game a year, and that's FIFA. So it's not really worth for me to have to partake in EA Access, but it is not bad, all things considered. I mean, I've looked at some of the stuff, and they have exclusives that are really nice.
Full games that are available in the vault include Battlefront, Unravel, Mirror's Edge Catalyst, Mass Effect N7 Collection, FIFA 16, Battlefield 4, Battlefield 3, Battlefield Hardline,
You get the whole Battlefield family. Let's go.
Titanfall. All of the Dragon Ages. Every Dead Space.
Dragon Age is pretty good.
You know, Crisis 3, Torchlight 2, FIFA 15. If you didn't want to play 16, you get 15 as well.
Roster changes. Let's go.
Crisis 2, Trine 2, Crisis 3. Plants
Doesn't
vs.
FIFA
Zombies.
16 have the cases in it and stuff? Or is that in every one?
Explain what you mean by cases, because as far as I know, they don't. I've been playing FIFA since 2010 every year, so.
Anyway,
I've heard they have like packs in them where you can get like rare players or something.
Oh, they have what's called the FIFA Ultimate Team. It's like a card-based RNG like team builder thing. They've actually added it into Madden and NHL as well. So it's in all the EA Sports games, where basically you start and you generate a team, and you open up like starter card packs, and you get like base level players and like jerseys, team logos, arenas, and then you can play other people online with teams that you build from opening up packs. It's actually quite cool. I don't personally play it, but it's a unique thing.
I heard that people like were getting like CS:GO lottoed to an extent with that service.
Interesting.
Some British guy was getting fined like a huge amount of money for doing something. I think it was doing another. It was literally like the CS:GO lotto situation. I think I can't recall though.
I would not be surprised if that were the case. A lot of people take that kind of seriously, just like CS:GO, but yeah, I think they're all idiots. So.
Many greetings, friend, in our chat here makes a good point.
There's your call out, Sydney.
Says, to be honest, if it's a subscription service, I'm cautious because if the product is good, you won't need a subscription, and I agree with that statement.
Looking at you, World of Warcraft
They
players.
say a subscription is like already admitting that something probably isn't that good, which is a good point to make. I think MMOs are a bit different, because how are they going to make their money otherwise? Looking at you, fucking Elder Scrolls Online.
And Guild Wars.
But Guild Wars just released an expansion recently, and I'm sure
Guild Wars.
I think it was like a year ago.
Content, and Guild Wars makes a lot of money.
And Guild Wars was a subscription-based thing for a while as well, I believe.
But now it's
I don't.
It's up. I think it's always been upfront cost. It's just
I don't think it's
Guild
ever
Wars
been
2 is free to play as well. So
Guild Wars 2 is free to play,
up to a point.
To a point, yeah.
Yeah, you have to.
I'm pretty sure like there's a level cap and like extra character slots and microtransactions and stuff like that. But
yeah. Because that game was like a $60 game when I bought it like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
MMOs make money without being subscription.
But I do agree that like services like that, and like imagine if Steam were to give you an option to have a subscription, get like a bunch of like Valve exclusive games. Like, imagine if TF2 is only accessible.
Half-Life 3.
Yeah, imagine if
Half-Life 3 comes out only on Steam exclusive.
Steam access.
Can you imagine how much money they would make?
Great.
Everyone would instantly just buy subscriptions to Steam for that.
I do agree to a point with the subscription comment, though. I think it's good to be cautious about subscriptions because you never know what you're gonna get in the long run. So,
and I think that's where
forget to cancel them.
Yeah, and I think that's where trial runs really come into play and are very important in video games nowadays because it's definitely something that if you don't mind paying for a game that you know you're going to play a lot and it's a game that you enjoy, then okay. Yeah. But, if it's me, like with World of Warcraft and with a lot of MMORPGs, I just can't play them.
Yeah. I'm not an MMO guy.
That's one of the reasons why I don't like subscription-based things, because I usually associate them with MMORPGs. And, I don't want to waste $6, $8, $12 a month, however much you're going to pay.
Yeah.
For, 3 days of gameplay time, because, I play for a week and then I get bored and I just uninstall.
Yeah.
But where a trial run comes in, it's like, hey, I can play this game for a week.
Well, I mentioned this to well, did I mention this to you, Gordon? That like anytime I play an MMO, I play for like 2 weeks and then I just drop it, or was I talking to somebody else?
I think you were talking to me because we were talking about Final Fantasy 14 with Riley.
And how like like I love Final Fantasy. I love everything Final Fantasy. You guys know that. Like that is my bread and butter. Aside from
14 actually looks really.
I'm
good.
the same way.
Like Final Fantasy, Zelda, and Dark Souls are the 3 series I will literally like murder someone over. So like. I've always been interested in Final Fantasy 14, especially ever since they like redid it with Heaven's Sword and all that. But like it's an MMO, and I know for a fact that like every MMO I play, doesn't matter what MMO it is, Terra, Blade and Soul, Maple Story, all these Guild Wars too. Like I've played a lot of MMOs. I always end up playing for like 2 weeks, and I binge play it. Like I'll play nothing else but that for 2 weeks, and then by the time I'm done those 2 weeks, I haven't hit max level. Nobody else is playing. I'm the only one who's left playing, and it's like I don't want to play this anymore.
Well, we made it a month on Blade and Soul, did we not?
It was like 3 weeks. It was almost a month.
I think I made it a full month, which was shocking because that's that never happens with me.
Yeah.
Well, it might be a bit different from my perspective because I'm like you, Cam, where I love Final Fantasy. I love everything Final Fantasy. Like I always said, Vivi is like my favorite character from anything ever since I found him from like Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy 1 and all that shit.
Vivi's in 9. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it was also in 1. Well, I mean that was the first time I saw him because I downloaded it on my phone back then.
Okay.
Like way back then.
Okay.
10 years ago. I think my first one was actually 7. I played on the PlayStation 1, but I'm not much of a MMO guy either. I usually had just done the leveling because my friends all play MMOs all their lives. They've been playing WoW since they were like 12. They're actually playing it now. I think they're raiding right now. But and I'm kind of I'm kind of like what you're saying with that. Like I can get through the leveling, and that like is enticing to me, and it makes me want to keep playing. But once I hit that level cap and I have to go and do things like a daily heroic or a daily trial roulette, and I have to do, like, especially with Final Fantasy, because the way they have it done
gets tedious.
Once you do the max, or once you hit max level to get geared, you have to be doing your daily trials or your try, because you have your trials roulette, you have your leveling roulette, and you have your expert roulette, which you have to do other things in order to unlock expert roulette in the first place. Like leveling roulette, you just get by going through the story, because leveling is supposed to be obviously for getting other classes up. Because the nice thing that Final Fantasy does, opposed to other MMOs, is that all of your different classes are all on one character. You just switch jobs. You can just hit a button,
that's cool.
And then you can be like, "Oh, I'm a black mage. I hit this button. I'm a white mage now."
Interesting.
Like stuff like that. That's one of the biggest reasons why I enjoy this over a game like WoW.
That's better than having like 8 characters that you constantly need to like keep leveling.
Yeah, and you need to like log out for all this stuff.
Yeah.
It also makes it nice because then you can queue with other people. If you have friends who are newer, you can queue with them and leveling, or like get dungeons done with them, all that stuff. But like I'm saying, you have to do all of these certain things every day. It basically is kind of saying you have to be only playing this game. You can't really be playing another one else. It's really hard to juggle anything else. That's why I tend to choose my main game to be like something like Overwatch or League, because I'm just a more competitive type of person when it comes to video games. So that's my thing.
My boy.
That's
but I very much enjoy Final Fantasy. I just wish that it was easier to gear. Because then maybe I could see myself on a raiding team, but even then, I don't know. The gameplay is good, but the GCD is so low that it's kind of irritating, especially if you're playing a caster, and that's primarily what I play anyway.
That's why I appreciate games like Guild Wars, and I appreciate games like even Elder Scrolls Online. Like it's just an upfront fee that you have to pay instead of constantly having to put money back into the game, and like by the time you've played WoW for like I don't know 3 years, you've paid almost like what $200,
not including expansions.
Exactly,
either.
Like. You should just be like expansions. I get it. Like you pay for the expansion. That's whatever. That's completely new content.
At least you get a month with that, at least. But...
Yeah, but like games, like even like Guild Wars, you buy Guild Wars, you're good. The next expansion comes out, it's only like $15. It's not that big of a deal. But like you have the game. You don't have to pay monthly. You don't have to pay yearly. Like you just pay it, and you're good. Like you're good to play. And I appreciate that with those games because, like people in chat are saying, like you're not necessarily going to be able to afford it. Like. On a monthly basis or on a yearly basis, so like games like that are like I appreciate from that standpoint anyway. So
Yeah, I mean, Guild Wars has its own problems, like with the release of their expansion. Because Guild Wars was all about getting rid of the big three, being DPS, healer, and tank, and having everybody have their own self heals and stuff. With the expansion, they added a healer and they added a tank, which fucked PvP, because the PvP was actually really good in that game, but they made it so that the healers were basically mandatory along with the tanks in PvP, and it was just answer. You had to kill their healer, else you just lose.
Interesting.
It was like old school WoW PvP with like Holy Valleys or whatever. I don't remember. I don't know too much about this, but yeah.
Well, let's not stay on MMOs for too long here, because that's a whole topic in and of itself.
Yeah, that'll take us.
Like the full 2 hours to talk about MMOs.
Yeah.
Tyler, what do you want to talk about, buddy? I forget what it was.
I was going to pose a question to the three of you, and it is, what, in your opinion, is the best genre of video game, and why?
So when you say best genre, is this completely opinion, like your opinion of what your like best or favorite? Because those are okay. Well, I don't think there is a best genre. That's my honest answer. I honestly don't think there is a best genre.
I think for a what's the word I'm looking for?
All right, let's change the parameters of it like just a little bit.
Altering the contract, I see.
Best for the video game industry is kind of where I was going with it.
Okay.
Like to design for?
Well, to
or to sell.
I think as far as video games go, like
to give like the best quality product, what like genre, if you were to develop a game, Cam, that you thought, all right, I'm not just going for like a straight up cash grab.
Okay, so what you're saying is what am I going to get the most out of, and what is going to calculate the most?
If you were going to make a game, what genre would you pick to get like the best quality out of whatever game that you were going to make?
That's hard to fucking tell, dude.
I know I can say for a fact right off the top, open world RPGs. Just because as far as video games go, you have just about everything you'll need. With the exception, perhaps, of multiplayer, online PvP, things like that.
I think
you have player customization, itemization, main story quests, side story quests, replayability because of that. You have a large area to explore. It's linear enough that you have something telling you what you should be doing, but at the same time, it's not limiting you to what you can go around and do. I think as far as video games go, and I think the pinnacle of video games, we talk about, best video games throughout time. Some of the best, in my opinion, are all open world RPGs. I think of Skyrim, I think of Fallout New Vegas, things like that. Fable, not really open world, but sort of open world.
I feel that question specifically is far too open-ended, especially just considering, because this is coming from someone who's going to be in the industry at some point.
Yeah.
Is that it's not so much what will get you the most, it's what are you aiming to, like, what are you trying to accomplish? Every company is looking at an audience, not necessarily like, for the most part they're looking at an audience, but a lot of the time it's just what can we do to make our creative outlet work. And sure, a lot of the times you're gonna get like adventure games. Like you can look at, I'm gonna use Uncharted for an example. You can look at Uncharted. It is first and foremost a third-person shooter, but it is I would still consider it an adventure game. Well, it's action adventure. From the story standpoint, it's an adventure. It's got heavy plot elements, and it's got combat. So it's not solely a shooter, but it's also not solely because it's got platforming, superficial platforming, and it's got like movement, and it's got stuff like that. I'd probably be on the same page with Ethan here. I'd probably make an RPG of some sorts. I don't know if it would be open world, but it would be an RPG of some sorts, just because from my creative standpoint, and this is a completely opinion oriented like question anyway, is that I would probably be able to get the most out of an RPG like system, creativity wise, between loot and armor and weapons and environment and just the scope of things. You have more to work with, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. But like I said, it's such an open-ended question. It's gonna vary from person to person what the best genre is. Yeah,
as intended.
What would you say, Gordon?
I'm kind of confused as to what you say is like get the most out of. Are you saying like revenue-wise, or are you saying like the most gameplay?
Well, just if you were gonna create a game that you were like, all right, I feel like going with this genre specifically would allow me to create the best quality.
Okay, so it's from a quality standpoint.
Yeah.
Okay. I stick by my answer.
This is actually a very hard question for me. I'd honestly probably say either like a 3D platformer, like a 3D speed platformer, like a Sonic type game, or
a good Sonic type game.
I mean, yeah, because like we haven't had anyone that I'd consider like enjoyable as far as like level design. Like, because some of the games had very good level design. Like if you look at like Generations, or if you look at like Sonic Adventure 2, the level design is very solid in those games. There's certain things with at least Sonic Generations that bothered me, like the fact that they forced the 2D sections on you a lot when you're playing the 3D. That kind of just left a sour taste in my mouth, because like I wanted to play the 3D sections for the 3D sections, not to have 2D in my 3D sections. So I would probably just do what like whoever those modders are that made that one Green Hill prototype in the Unreal Engine, do something like that. Yeah, if you've ever played that, that is very, very interesting. I'd want to make something like that probably, just because I want to revive that genre a little bit, because I feel like it's very, very neglected, especially because Sonic's kind of the only one that's in the speed platforming. So that's probably my answer.
What would you make, Tyler?
Probably action adventure.
Action adventure.
That's
like a Zelda type action adventure. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I think
in my opinion, like games like Uncharted are like, even if the combat is like heavily influenced by shooter elements, like it's still for the most part action adventure. Like I feel like those games give players like the most bang for their buck as far as like what they're looking for in a game.
Well, that's what we're constantly being told: quality over quantity, like quality over quantity. So,
but like most of the games that I personally think of when I think of like my favorite games, as far as like
just every Zelda game ever made.
Well, not every Zelda game ever made, because there are some like not good ones.
All of them are good in their own right.
Yeah. But like not just with Zelda, but like on other platforms too. Like the best games that I could think of that I've played, like The Witcher, Uncharted, fucking other stuff that's like that. Like I kind of want to say Mass Effect, but Mass Effect's like the series has gone like in 3 different directions across the 3 games, and it's kind of like hard to give it like one specific, outside of it being an RPG, because for the most part it has been an RPG.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the safest genre for Mass Effect would probably be action RPG.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like an adventure game to me.
It really isn't.
With the first game, it was like straight up RPG. Tomb Raider is another one. The one that came out in 2013 was.
Have you played that game? Because the shooting in that game makes me want to fucking kill myself.
Yeah, the combat.
Outside,
my fucking god.
Outside of that, I feel like it was like a less refined Uncharted game.
That was the weird thing, because like the sequel was worse with the shooting than the original was. Like the original remake, I felt it was like much.
I didn't like the shooting like all that much, but outside of it, I thought the gameplay was actually pretty good.
Which one? The
climbing was awesome.
We're talking about the Tomb Raider remake from 2013, as well as the sequel to it, which the name escapes me.
The new,
I played it. I have it.
Rise of the
Tomb Raider.
Temple of Doom.
Yeah, I see what you mean by the shooting in that game, Gordon, because I played through both of them. And I quite like both of them. I actually had a lot of fun playing them. But I definitely like them more for the exploratory aspects of the game, as well as the platforming, which I feel is why you play a Tomb Raider game. You don't play a Tomb Raider game necessarily for the combat, though it did seem like it was a step behind other games in the same category with that.
Though I feel with a lot of like action adventure games, they try to go as simple as they possibly can with combat and like the action aspect. It's like really heavily played, but it's like it's simplified to the point where they're like, all right, we've got this hashed out. Let's push that off to the side and focus on plot elements of the game so that we can make it memorable in a sense.
It's that's just like the shooting.
That's why Zelda games come like straight to the forefront in my mind, because
I think
very well influenced by their plot.
I think especially like with you talking about like action adventure games, I'm gonna be talking about Breath of the Wild like every week for the next fucking like 4 months, guys. Just a heads up. Just a heads up. So
I'm excited for it.
So where I'm headed with this is that like most bang for your buck, I feel like, especially from like a creative standpoint, like I was talking about, is that game is going to like, it does what most RPGs do, where you've got like your array of items, your array of weapons, armor, etc. And like you've got a big environment that hopefully is populated with plenty of things to do, and like that's what I think is a quality game. Is you've got enough stuff in it, but the quality of it is good.
Yeah.
I would rather have an empty game that's good than a populated game that's bad.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
I feel like giving players a lot of like power as far as like what to do in the game is like it's really good. Like
it's liberating.
And a lot of developers do it really well.
Yeah.
Like as much shit as we and even a lot of people give Riot for what they've done with League of Legends, like they at least in the last couple of years, they've constantly been trying to like they've strived to give players the option of like what they want to play and essentially how they want to play it, even though they've kind of like taken a step back from a lot of stuff, like at least with older champions, where it's been like, all right, it's got some weird wacky scaling with 2 different types of damage, so pick what you want to play, like APE.
Yeah.
Okay, they drove it into the ground, but it still exists. Like they're like, all right, we realize that it's that
a
APE
problem.
It's a problem, but it's also fun to play. So let's essentially kill it, but still make it so that if people want to play it, they can still play it and not like feel shitty about it.
Still bad though.
It's just so saddening to see the way that they're handling tank metas.
Yeah, like, League of Legends. Another time, guys. Because I start talking about League of Legends, I'm gonna fucking lose my mind. Okay. Just,
you don't even play it anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's the point.
This is the hell that I have to play.
It is. It's been like 3 months.
3-4 months.
3-4 months. Yeah, it's been a liberating 3 and 4 months.
It's been a day.
Okay, well, with the topic of all that, like that's a good segue into the topic I wanted to bring up. I've been reading about this like past month, and even with other games that have been released recently, and like specifically even like Final Fantasy 15. Well, not really Final Fantasy 15 because most Final Fantasy games are open world, but I've been reading a lot of people, and this. I don't know how vocal this like group, or I don't know how big this group is. It could be a vocal minority, but I've been hearing a lot of complaints or voiced opinions that open world, like the open world format, is ruining games. And I wanted to pose that to you guys because I think that's an interesting point of view to take, because you look at so many games nowadays. So many games are open world. You got games like Horizon Zero Dawn that's not even out yet. It's open world. You've got the new Mass Effect Andromeda. Which is going to be semi-open world, is what they've announced. You got Breath of the Wild, which is going to be completely open world. You've got, like, let me look at other games I have here. Like, Assassin's Creed, you got open world. Metal Gear Solid 5, you got open world. You've got, like, Final Fantasy 15, it's open world. Shadow of Mordor is open world. Witcher 3 is open world. Like, all of these games, like, all of these really, really big name games are open world. So that's the question. Does the format of open world pose the ability of ruining a game?
I'll raise my hand because I want to go first.
Yes, go ahead, please. Please go first.
I think it's kind of a double-edged sword.
I agree.
It's good when the developers actually care about making a good game.
Mm-hmm.
So my first example will be Breath of the Wild, because
yes, the game.
Nintendo has is so invested in making sure that their top tier titles are good. That if they're gonna incorporate, I think they've taken a bit from their audience, where it's like, all right, we know Zelda players kind of want to go back to
being able to choose stuff.
Playing in an open world Zelda is where we wanted to go, and they're like, all right, let's take that, let's fucking turn the knob up to like 18 out of 10. Let's go hard in the paint with how open world we're gonna make this game, and it's gonna be good.
So we think for now.
Basically, the litmus test for open world games for the last 6 or 7 years has been Skyrim. Like, if you can compare a game to Skyrim and it's like, all right, this game stands up, at least it's at least comparable to Skyrim in some facet. It's like, all right, game's gonna be good. Let's make it open world. Let's push it. Players gonna love it, and they do, because if it's comparable to Skyrim, because it's gotten so much acclaim, because it's such a good game.
Far Cry 3. It's Skyrim.
It.
Remember that meme?
Yeah. On the other hand, there are a lot of developers who are like, all right, we realize that this whole open world business is a fucking cash cow, so let's make a game that's gonna be open world. Like, they're just going out of their minds, because they're like, holy crap, players love open world games, so let's make an open world game.
Yeah.
And then it's utter shit, because all they care about is making money, and it's like, all right, why did you put this out? And they're just like, we thought you would love it because it's open world, and it's like, we don't, because it's a shit game.
Yeah, I can think of a few examples regarding that. The thing that I think it's important to note when it comes to open world, and Riley actually pointed this out in the chat, that open world is good if a player sees something new everywhere they go.
Yeah.
And that's something that you get in Skyrim. It's something that you get in Metal Gear Solid. Even Metal Gear Solid, after a while, though, it kind of tapers off, it plateaus. But then there's a lot of games that are open world that aren't great, and that would be something like No Man's Sky. Which, hype of the century and face planted.
Oh my
it's
God.
Like Peter Griffin falling and holding his knee, but instead of for a minute, it's the entirety of the game.
Yeah, it's 12 aeons.
Now, I want to cut you off just for a second, Ethan. To that point, I think any open world game is going to taper off at some point, because they've only got so much that they can make due to budgetary constraints and resource restraints and stuff like that. And it's like, all right, as long as if it can introduce enough new stuff for long enough, then it'll be all right. But I think what a lot of even if they're not 100% into the whole cash cow idea of open world games, it's like, all right, how much is enough to keep the game interesting to the point where we can all right, start let's wrap it up, let's make sure that players have some sense of finality to whatever they're playing, as opposed to just having an infinite expanse of whatever this game is.
I want to I want to touch on something somebody said in the chat here. It says, giving half a story lets players fill in some of the blanks themselves and invest more in the game because they relate more, have more fun with it than if everything is answered or closed off. I agree and I disagree with that statement. I think it's good to at least give players something to the imagination. But I would also argue a lot of people would rather just be handed a complete story so that they have everything, like all the knowledge they need for said story. My example for that would most likely, well, the opposite example of that would be Dark Souls, where a lot of people are like constantly putting together like theories and like a backstory and lore that they can find and dig through the game. But I know a lot of people would just rather have the story given to them because, like, why should I have to work for something if I'm just gonna play the game? Like, I don't need to I don't need to spend a day digging through lore and trying to figure out who like Solaire is and whether or not he's actually the son of fucking Gwen or not. Like some people don't like that, and I'm not one of them. I personally love having something to the imagination and being able to discuss it with like people like this. So like I
think it's good. I think it's good to give the players option to have lore.
Yeah.
That like with Skyrim, like there's so many fucking books.
Yeah.
For you to read. Like even like 2-page books or whatever it is, like short little passages for players to read to be like, all right, let's fill in the blanks of whatever happened in whatever area that I'm in. But like some people don't have like the best attention span to read every book in Skyrim to get like a full picture of whatever the lore is, and it's good to have the option.
And
it's like, all right, let me read something here or there.
Especially with what Riley said earlier in regards to the open world itself, is that like if it's bland, like it's not done well. And
yeah,
I would honestly say Metal Gear Solid 5 is a prime example of a bland open world. Sure, you've got outposts. Sure, you've got like fortresses and stuff, but they're all just cut and paste, like small little enclosed areas, especially the outposts, with maybe 5 to 10 like soldiers walking around with nothing like really in between. In Afghanistan, you've got dirt and hills, and in Africa, you've got grass and hills. So like it's really not well populated, and I feel games like Skyrim especially have such a world that's brimming with stuff. Like you're walking around 1 second and you're now attacked by some orc dude, and you search him and now you have a little baylet, and you now have a new quest to go find all 48 of these small little jewels. Like it's stuff like that, like just pops up. That you're...
I can say I've got over 400 hours in Skyrim, between playing on my PC and playing on my brother's Xbox 360 and playing on my Xbox 360.
Yeah.
And I've never finished the main story quest. I've never actually beaten the story to Skyrim.
It's not a very good story.
I've been playing it since the game came out, right? Over 2 different consoles and a PC. And I've never once beaten the story. Because it offers you the ability to not do that. You don't need to do that in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And speaking as to, people who say, like, oh, open world, it's ruining the gaming industry. And, kind of touching on what Tyler was talking about, how games are just kind of pushing out open world because they think it's what people want, as opposed to actually taking the time to make a good game. To me, the two groups of people who complain about open world games are people who want to see more multiplayer in video games, which I think is fine, and people who can't really focus on a lot of things going on at once and need a more linear video game, which is also fine. That's something that you can't really help a lot of the time. So I think those are the two main groups. I can't really think of anybody else outside of those groups that really thinks that open world games are ruining things. So are open world video games ruining the gaming industry? I'm going to say no, just because the multiplayer crew, like, you could also argue that the same thing is happening with multiplayer games. Like, oh, gaming companies want to incorporate multiplayer in more.
Yeah.
look at Metal Gear Survive.
Prime example, Mass Effect.
Or even Metal Gear Solid 5. In fairness, at least the multiplayer for Mass Effect 3 had almost no impact whatsoever on the story.
I mean, kind of, but it was super tacked on because EA was like all right.
Game.
Yeah. I feel like if MGS5 had like more stuff to do in the world other than just outposts and stuff, it would have been a fine open world game. I have a lot of complaints about that game, and most of it has to do with the story, not really with the open world. I think that is a game that is done like check or Bill. I think that's a game that it is the best open world stealth game you could possibly get, especially with today's like stuff. But like there's not enough to do in the world aside like I've said this multiple times, like every mission is literally just go here, kill soldiers or trank them or ignore them and extract prisoner. Like that's like over 50% of the game's missions, and then the other 50% is like sneak in somewhere and do something. So it's like it's not a well populated game, and like I said, if there's more stuff to do in between and more like random events, if you will, like D-Dog was a good random event. It's a scripted random event, but it is still a random event as to when it will happen or where it will happen. So like, I don't know. It's that game specifically, I think, is a bad example of an open world game. Actually, I wouldn't even say it's a bad example. I'd say it's a flawed example of an open world game. I haven't heard your opinion yet, Gordon, because we've kind of been babbling here. What do you think?
So the entire I don't really have much of an opinion on this, mostly just because open world in general is something that I feel is kind of just optional for the I don't feel like you need I feel like most people are putting in open worlds, but it's like you can look at a lot of open world games and be like, okay, this could have been completely linear.
Yeah.
110%. It's literally just giving the player more options, and that really I don't really have a solid opinion on that, because it's basically just saying, hey, do you not like the main story missions that we're giving you? Hey, go and do these side quests over here. Maybe you'll like those. Which, I mean, you could say that it could take away from the main story that way if they're having people put things into these side missions, but other people like them. It's hit or miss for me depending on the game. I don't really like games like Skyrim or Bethesda games where you're kind of just thrown to the wolves and you can just go off and do whatever. I tend to like more linear games just because I like being handheld a little bit more, just because it makes it easier for me to get into a story.
And that's a fair enough opinion.
I don't like things like Dark Souls, where if I tried playing Dark Souls 2 without having any background information like I did at all, if I didn't do what I did when I tried to play Dark Souls 2, I would be completely lost with that game.
Yeah.
I would be heading into the wrong area. I remember when I played Dark Souls 1 for the first time, I ended up running down into New
Londo,
yeah. And fighting the ghosties there. Yeah. And I didn't even know about the extra potion down there or anything.
And
because that just makes the game extremely frustrating. I'm going into it okay, it's Dark Souls. I already know it's going to be incredibly frustrating, but that's the point where it's it's not necessary. I mean, it is my fault, but it's something that necessarily shouldn't be my fault.
Yeah.
But
you should. Yeah, you're saying that you shouldn't have the option of going down there and getting your butt blasted by these ghosts right off the bat. Anyway.
I mean, it's it just could have been better telegraphed. I mean, they kind of pan toward the castle, I think, in the first cutscene, so maybe there's that. But
and it's the same with the graveyard. It's right there, and a lot of people are gonna go and try and fight skeletons, but you're not supposed to fight skeletons.
It's everybody's opinion. People like what they like. I don't. It's not something that I like, so I kind of tend to avoid that type of genre. I mean, I don't avoid it because I loved Far Cry 3. That game was great, but I feel like Far Cry 3 did a good job of streamlining the main storyline as opposed to something like Skyrim. Skyrim felt more open, and I mean that's not a bad thing, because giving your player more options isn't a bad thing at all. It just comes down to my opinion, honestly. I don't have much of an opinion on either one. I just tend to like more linear things.
I think you raise a good point though about games that could be linear instead of being open world. And the prime example I'm going to use is Final Fantasy 13. Everybody calls it fucking hallway simulator. And like I get it, I do.
Yeah.
But that game is a prime example of what you're saying, where that game doesn't need to be open world. There's no necessary reason for you to be open world in that game. They give you open world, it's near the end, but like there's absolutely zero need to do it. Like you're there to play Final Fantasy for the story for the most part, and that's what you're doing. That's why it's a hallway, because you're going from point A to point B and experiencing the story. So I think like I get what you're saying though. Like not everything needs to be open world where a lot of things are.
And like now that I think about it, now there's actually like because I just started playing Banjo-Kazooie for the first time, and that game, much like Mario 64, I actually enjoy the way that it kind of handles an open world in which it says, okay, we're going to give you this world, but we're going to open it up slowly first. So we're going to give you these hub worlds, which you can go and do whatever the fuck you want in it, and there's going to be things that you're going to have to do in them, which makes it interesting, but it's also not letting you go to the end immediately, which I tend to enjoy, because if you're given the entire world on a plate immediately, it doesn't feel rewarding when I go into the last part of the game, like from square one.
Yeah.
Like I like the idea of there being a barrier that I need to do something to get past to, and then
I think that's why a lot of people like complained about, especially like the Galaxy games, is they moved away from that kind of gameplay where instead of giving you a hub world that you can kind of unlock pieces to like as you progress, they've just given you these linear worlds where you're just getting like a star or two throughout, and that's why a lot of people are super happy with Super Mario Odyssey coming out. Is going back to the Banjo-Kazooie, is going back to the Super Mario 64. It'd be super interesting to see if Yooka-Laylee does that, because that's coming out in like a month or two.
That game is very interesting for that.
So can I assume that you're saying that open worlds don't ruin games, or what's...
They don't ruin anything. It's just it just depends on the type. Like it's open world is just more popular in this era. Like if you look back at that N64, like I was talking about, like
hub worlds were more.
And I mean, like it also depends on the developer. Like Nintendo, it seems like they stick with that. Like I mean, they did that with 64 to Sunshine to Galaxy 2. It's all the same type of thing, I believe. I don't know about Galaxy or Galaxy 2 too much. I played a little bit of Galaxy, so I know it kind of starts off in the same way of Super Mario 64, but I don't know.
It tapers off. It doesn't really. And
I kind of hope that that the new Super Mario Odyssey follows suit in that way. I mean,
I know Miyamoto's already said that it's going back to like Super Mario 64 style, so
take me down to New Donk City where the grass is green and the girls.
I mean, because the other thing about open world games is that it means that your player is going to have to be doing a lot more traveling, and that can be somewhat mundane and boring at times if you're somebody like me who has a very low attention span. And when I'm playing Skyrim and just fast traveling all over the place, it kind of just gets kind of boring after a little bit.
Yeah, I feel you. What was so Ethan and you both disagree that open worlds ruin games?
I don't think there's any. I don't think they do in any way, shape, or form. But I also take the same sort of stance that it's a lot like sports games. Not everyone is gonna like a sports game. That's just a lot of people who play video games don't like sports. I, for one, I grew up playing sports. I love sports. I watch sports all the time. I play sports games. But I play every generation of NBA that's come out since 2008. I play every generation of FIFA that's come out since 2010.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna, sit here and stand on a soapbox and say, "Oh, sports games are, the best type of video game." Or I think that, they aren't ruining video games because of where they are. I think more people, older generations of video gamers like us, or even people older than us, are more inclined to like open world games, or maybe even linear games depending on the stories. Because that's what they're used to. But younger generations, kids that are growing up on things like Call of Duty and Battlefield, they're more inclined to play multiplayer games because it's what they're used to.
I was just thinking about
how interesting it would be to talk to like a psychologist about stuff like this. Just based on the way that like a lot of us think relatively similarly because we're all gamers, but not just us four, like gamers as a whole, but like there's also like our choices in games that we play like harkens back to like who we are as people, as far as like, all right, so we're of say like a linear mindset, so we like games that are a little more linear. Maybe it's like the opposite, where it's like, all right, we think linearly as a person, but to kind of like juxtapose that in the way that we play games, we play open world games, you know.
Yeah.
So something along those lines. I think it'd just be really interesting to just sit down with somebody that knows a lot more about how the brain functions.
So what's your conclusion here, Tyler? Do you agree or disagree that they ruin?
I don't think. I think they're better for the industry just because it kind of it pushes the standard for developers to like make good games.
Yeah.
Like even if they don't just look at open world games and say, all right, we need to make exclude, because no company's gonna do that, where they look at open world games and be like, all right, these are some of the best selling games of all time, let's make nothing but open world games.
Yeah.
I think it just kind of like it makes developers look at whatever formula went into like a top tier open world game and be like, all right, what can we do to either compete with that, or what elements in that game can we incorporate into ours to make them better? So I think as a whole, they're actually better for the industry than they are a detriment.
I also disagree that they're ruining like the gaming industry and games like by that standard. I do think they're becoming slightly oversaturated in the industry because like everything that's coming out now is like kind of open world. Like Dark Souls 3 is pretty linear for a Dark Souls game. Not as linear as 2, but like it's definitely not like the open world that 1 is. But like games like Horizon Zero Dawn and Breath of the Wild and Final Fantasy 15 and stuff like that, stuff that's coming out is far more inclined to be an open world game than like even like Riley's saying, than necessarily like a platformer. Like he wants more platformers, so
platformers are fun.
Platformers are fun. Not everybody likes platformers. Not everybody likes open world games. So like, I personally love open world games. I've always loved open world games. So I'm okay with open world games. I can see where people are coming from. It's really just what people are for and what people are against at this point, really, though. Cool. Well, my other topic for tonight, which shouldn't take us nearly as long to discuss.
It's the most open world game.
The most open world game. Pokemon Go, guys. I know we've all played that game.
Literally the most open world game because it is.
It's literally real life.
It depends on like how you play it, though. Honestly,
I sit in my bathroom and play it, so you know what,
dude.
You must be near something.
The first day that game was out, I was seeing Twitch streams of people
walking around.
I was seeing Twitch. No, not even play. Like sitting at a computer desk playing Pokemon Go, like streaming Pokemon Go. I was like,
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when that game.
Come on!
Tyler 1 were doing that.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember when that game was in its prime. Reckful was live streaming him walking around, and he had it set up so his phone would stream on Twitch. Him walking around playing Pokemon Go, and his interactions meeting people throughout Los Angeles. It was wild.
Now I know we've all played it.
He like went into Chipotle and was
the
like.
The real question here is, how many of us still play it? Raise your hands. How many of you actively go out and play it?
I have not played it.
Exactly.
I barely played it when it came out.
So that's the point I'm getting to here. Last week, I don't even think it was last. Well, it probably was last week. Last week, new update came out. They fixed tracking or some shit, and they've also started releasing the Gen 2 Pokemon. Now the question this poses. I know the answer to this is a yes from all of you already. Is it too late?
Oh shit.
I don't know if you should assume things,
Is it too late for this game to update with Gen 2 stuff that should have been out like months ago?
It's hard to tell.
I'm gonna look up. I want you guys to just think about this and let it marinate for a second.
I mean, there's certain factors that come into this entire thing, because, I mean, first of all, you have to look at different places. Like, for me, when that game came out, there was no way for me to even play it because of where I live. Like, I live up in the woods, up in Connecticut, so where I live, there is no Pokestops, there's no nothing for me out there. There's literally no reason to use it. Like, I remember when it came out in the summer, I literally would go to work, I would catch something in the parking lot there, that would be it, and then I'd go home, and then since I was, like, only working, I didn't go out that much anyway. And I'm not going to go out of my way to go out and catch Pokemon because I just don't care enough about the game for that.
Yeah.
If I wanted to play Pokemon at that point, I would just plug in Sun. But the other factor that comes into this is you have to remember what time it is now. It is February. And in a lot of places, it's going to be very cold and there's going to be a lot of snow out. So not a lot of people are going to be as wanting to go out and go and catch Pokemon as they might have been back in, what was it, like June when the game came out?
Did they say whether or not certain types were going to be seasonal? Or not? Or are they just all, like, region locked?
I feel like it would be very...
Because I know...
it'd be counterintuitive to what they want if they
I know when Halloween hit, they did, like... they upped appearance rates on, like, ghost-type Pokemon for a while. Like,
I think that was more of, like, a special event than anything.
Yeah, because it's Halloween, they're going to do that.
Halloween, everyone loves being spooky. My issue with Pokemon Go was, and anybody in the chat that pays their own phone bills will resonate with this, data usage.
Data usage, oh my god, dude.
And that was something that I couldn't get behind the game just because of that, you know, I'd go to where I work during the summer, and I work 10 hours a day, so I don't really have time to play it anyway. But I eat breakfast at this one spot every day, and it's a Pokestop, and that was fine. And I'd check in daily, get whatever, and also pass by 5 churches within a 2-mile radius of my house, and they're all Pokestops. Every church is a Pokestop. So I'd always stop on the way home and get those. You know, that adds 15 more minutes to my day stopping at all those churches on my way home. And when you can't really spend time actually catching Pokemon because you can't run your data up because you quite genuinely can't afford it, it makes the game hard. And, you know, I understand, like, it as, you know, I think adding the Gen 2 is too late, but I don't think that's the only problem with the game.
Oh god, no. That game has way more issues.
You know, adding Gen 2 in February when the game's been dead for several months, it's not like the game just died at Christmas time and they're trying to revive it. You know, the game's been dead since October. You know, I've got a few friends, one in the chat, Mini Greetings friends. She still plays. One of my other friends still plays. I was actually hanging out with her a couple weeks ago, and we're just sitting there talking. She whips out her phone and she checks Pokemon Go. And I was honestly shocked. I was like, "You're still playing that game?" And she said, "Yeah, I still check up on it every once in a while." So you know, there's a few faithful out there that I'm sure will be very appreciative of this news and adding the Gen 2 Pokemon. But I feel like it's a little too late for the majority of the players, considering how big Pokemon Go was on release.
Yeah.
You know, everybody I knew was playing it. I saw videos of where I'm from in Charlotte, North Carolina. It's the biggest city in the state. And I saw videos of a Pokemon Go meet and greet that was going on at Romeo Bearden Park, which is a pretty big park downtown. And somebody took a video of it and threw it up on Facebook. And I'm talking like 1,500 people just like hanging out downtown Charlotte in one area, all playing Pokemon Go together. That blew my mind. I've never seen anything like that. You know, I've gone to sporting events where I haven't seen that many people interacting in one spot.
I don't know if you saw it, but there was a video of this guy. I think he's like a pretty well-known Viner. But he was in. I think he was in like downtown New York, and he was like, watch this, and he lifted up his phone and he was like, I found a Dragonite, and just like a horde of people were like running towards him. I was like, holy crap, dude, that looks amazing.
I've seen videos like that too. People like, oh, they found a Dragonite at this park downtown, and you see people like on their phones walk across the street in hordes, like not even looking to check for cars or anything. Yeah, it's crazy. You know, it was like the whole Pokemon Go phenomena when it first came out was the most unreal thing I've ever seen. And yeah, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I think for Niantic, I think is the company.
Yeah, Niantic.
Niantic. If they really wanted to keep the hype generated, maybe they don't care, which is very much a possibility. Maybe they wanted the game to die down before they added this stuff in. Yeah, I find that hard to believe, but maybe it's the case. I don't know how they work. And so I think maybe that's the idea. I think they're fine with adding it this late. I think if they really cared about adding it when the game was a little more relevant, they would have pushed it out sooner.
Maybe, yeah.
Or maybe now that, you know, even though, as Gordon was saying, it's February, it's cold, people aren't really going to play. It was 65 degrees where I am today. It felt perfect outside.
Yeah, it's a good day.
And maybe they're like, oh, it's February again. We're going to push it back out when the weather's getting nice for springtime. So maybe it regenerates interest. People come out and play it more as the weather's nicer and people don't have to worry about the cold as much. So
I know, like Niantic took forever to update the game, even after it had first come out, because initially people were using those online like Google Maps essentially to figure out where Pokemon were, and because the nests would change every now and then, you'd be able to track where Pokemon were. And then Niantic like shut them down. And then the tracking feature was taken offline out of the actual game because it was like bugged, and then it took them like a month and a half before they even got the other tracking feature out. And it was just one like issue to the next
after another.
So,
which for a game like that makes a little bit of sense. I mean, to me, it's a pretty complex format.
Yeah.
For a game, and it's not exactly one that's designed.
Before I even started playing,
you're relying heavily on real-world applications for a video game, which doesn't really work a lot of the time.
Yeah, that is a big issue.
Yeah.
So, you know, from their point of view, I don't really blame them for the issues that the game had, just because that's the nature of a game like that.
So I'm looking at some charts here. I can't find any daily active user like data from last month, this month, the month before. I just can't for some reason. I have found stuff from August of last year, which was 3 months after it come out in July, and it was already in the decline then. So release July 5th. As of July 17th, it had close to 45 million users, active users daily.
Jesus.
By August 16th, that had already dropped to below 35 million. They had lost like 10 million users within a month. So I think that's telling of a game. I mean, sure, you're gonna have the stragglers, the hype trainers, like all of those drop off, but I think 10 million is a pretty big number.
That's a huge number. And I understand there was also a large number of people playing the game, but anytime you lose 10 million of anything, it's not a good sign. You know, maybe it's just people like, they played it for a month and they were like, nothing's really changing, nothing's the same, I don't have time for it, data usage is a problem. You know, any slew of excuses for someone to stop playing the game. But when you lose 10,000 consumers as a company, or 10 million, excuse me, consumers as a company, that's not a good sign. It's never a good sign. There's in no way, shape, or form as a company do you want 10 million consumers to just up and disappear and not come back.
I mean, it doesn't help that like Niantic isn't the Pokemon company. Niantic isn't Nintendo.
Right.
This is a company that what do they do before this? Does anybody know what game they've done before this?
Never heard of the company before
exactly.
this. part of the problem though with it is kind of Pokemon Go. I feel like was a kind of a victim of the circumstances as well, because it was a fad, and obviously with that people are going to lose attention eventually, especially when it is a mobile game like that. I mean, look at Fire Emblem. Like, look how long that lasted. It feels like,
3 weeks.
In my opinion, it seems like these type of mobile games are just like destined to die out, especially with people who are hardcore gamers like us, who have other games to play through like consoles and computers and stuff. But the other thing I have to think about that is like imagine like what percentage of like, mostly I would assume small children actually still play the game like every day, because I mean you have to think about it as in like so many kids now have phones and like tablets and stuff, and they're always moving. Maybe they're still playing it. I don't know. I don't know a ton about that type of thing. So I mean, of course, obviously, they're not going to keep that peak because it was such a fad. But there's got to be at least a steady number of people that are still playing it.
Yeah,
it's obviously
if it's warranting updates and stuff, yeah.
And I mean, also, it's like the game is free to play from the get-go.
There's still microtransactions.
Yeah, there's the microtransactions, but not every.
You can still remain, like, depending on where you live, you can still remain
completely free to play.
Yeah.
Like, I never spent a cent on the game, and I never will. So there's got to be also other people who have done the same. I'd have to think, but yeah, I don't really.
Niantic's only other game is a game called Ingress. It's another like AR game.
I think they have another one called Field Trip too.
Okay, it's a location-based like AR game as well. So, I mean, like Ingress is pretty popular. It's niche, but it's popular, and I feel like that's what Pokemon Go is going to become. It's going to become a niche that only like certain people play, like religiously, and like that's not bad if it's making the company money, then whatever. But I personally believe it's too late to keep updating this game. Sure, you're gonna get the people who keep playing it, but if they're trying to attract more people, I think that opportunity has well past its date. Especially like, unless they start adding in new generations of Pokemons like monthly. Like if next month they decide, oh, by the way, we have 3rd gen Pokemon ready to go, and then the month after that, like 4th gen's up and running, we're good to go. Like then maybe they can start picking up more people, but at the rate they've been going, it's past their prime. For
and also with the changing of the seasons, we might see a bit of a resurgence. But
in the summer, I'm sure by the time spring and summer comes along, more people will probably download it again and try and get out.
That's where I'd be interested in, looking at the revenue from Niantic over the past year since Pokemon Go's come out. Because if they made even just off microtransactions and advertisements, I actually don't remember if there's advertisements in Pokemon Go or not. I don't recall there being any.
No.
But if they're just making money off microtransactions, let's say they make $250,000, or $1 million, however much, and they decide to grow as a company and they can start making more product updates and things like that over the next couple months as the weather gets warmer, then I think you'd most likely see a resurgence because people would be like, hey, this game's not entirely dead. Like, let me go back to it. I had a lot of fun doing it for a short amount of time. But, I'd be interested in sort of jumping back in that ring. That's where I'd be interested to look at Niantic's revenue. But again, if they're deciding like, hey, yeah, we made a little bit of money, we still don't have, as far as I know, they're still an incredibly small company. I remember when the game first came out, somebody took a screenshot of the number of workers that Niantic had, and it was like less than 20.
Yeah, that's what Terraberry is saying in the chat.
They had like less than 20 software developers when it seemed like everybody in the world was playing Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
And people were like, oh, this game has so many issues and so many problems. And it's like, well, yeah, it's a super small company with like 20 people. I don't think they were expecting, they made the game for people who, like kids who love playing Pokemon and give them something to sort of do and go out into the real world. I don't think they're realizing, 25-year-olds to go out there and play the game.
Well, did they know?
Yeah, little did they know some 55-year-old man was going to go out there after taking his kids to ballet that he would go stop at 4 churches on the way home and play Pokemon Go.
He knows what's good.
The one person that I saw playing it today was like, she was probably in her mid 40s.
82.
She was at least middle aged.
195.
She was 300 years old.
Born before the
Earth.
Earth.
Right, so I want to say that it's not entirely dead. 2 reasons. The one we've already talked about is changing of seasons. It hit its peak at a time in which people, at least as far as their American audience, are like most active, like
July.
Out of their houses and active.
Yeah.
Middle of summer, like even down here in the South, like people are out and about all over the place. And even if they weren't, like, this gave them more of a reason to do so. Like, maybe if they're like on the edge, like, it's kind of too hot, there's nothing really to do, nobody really wants to go out and do anything, it's like, all right, here's something to do in the middle of summer, go out and do it. And it's like, all right, cool, sweet. I think that Pokemon has enough of a following to where once people see that, you know, it's all right to kind of come out of their hibernation,
their shell.
Well,
their winter
just
shell.
based off of the weather, because a lot of people that still play Pokemon,
their spring shell.
They're like,
they're shedding their skin. They're shedding
fat nerds that want to sit. Not necessarily.
Cool.
Fat
they're like
nerds,
snakes who are just getting rid of their excess.
They're people that just want to sit at home and play games, and it's like, all right, we've got a reason to go out. Second reason is Generation 3.
Gen 3.
From my experience, Generation 3 is probably one of the most popular Pokemon generations.
I'd say it's arguably most popular.
Generation 2,
it's my favorite.
By comparison, is like, it's a good generation, but I think it's like, it's not quite on par with the first and the third as far as in terms of popularity. Because most people that you talk to
are Gen 1ers who will literally
they're either
murder
Gen 1ers or they're like
trumpet whores.
Or they're trumpet whores, yeah.
We don't have a term for them yet.
So Gen 3, and we saw it with the remakes of Gen 3 with
Omega Ruby and Sapphire.
People were so fucking hyped for those 2 games because Gen 3 is like, it's amazing.
Look, Tyler, 7.8, too much water.
True, too much water. They're gonna add more. They're gonna add more water to Pokemon Go, which is gonna.
Yes, they're literally gonna flood the earth.
But I think
it's happening in California as we speak.
Shit, dude, don't like.
Gen 3 is the sign of the apocalypse because the ice caps are gonna melt.
We figured it out. We're heralds. We're the heralds.
You
heard it here
first
just on
fire like lasers at the ice caps.
I think Gen 2's not gonna completely revive it, and I don't think Gen 3 is just gonna be like the straight up shot in the arm to bring their numbers back up to whatever the fuck it was back in July. But I do think it's gonna like.
I don't ever think it will hit the peak it hit though.
No, 100% it wouldn't. It was way too viral at the time, and it's just not gonna hit that point again.
But
it's just not realistic.
I think
attention spans have faded.
I think whenever they do finally release Gen 3, it's definitely gonna breathe some life back into the game. Not
definitely.
like probably to the point where it's gonna at least have a steady user base, not like nearly as big as it was when it was released, but like good enough for them to like work off of and make at least some measure of improvements to. I think to your point about data usage, Ethan, I feel like a lot of the data usage problems were with like stemmed from the server issues that they had, just because they didn't expect as many people.
I never had data issue with it.
I mean, I didn't really have data issues with it, but I could see like how people could have data issues with it, mostly because I'm still not
like Joe and I went out one day. We went out for say about an hour and a half. using it, and like, I don't think I peaked even close to like 200 megabytes, like not even close.
I don't think I ever peaked. I don't think I ever went over like a gig a month on it.
I know
I think I got close, but
I played Pokemon Go for about a month. I personally not a huge Pokemon person. Never have been. I've only played like 2 of the games. It was just something I didn't grow up on, so I never really picked it up. But I played it for about a month, and granted, I also have a shared data plan with my brother and my mother. But I hit like 90% of my data usage within like 5 days of playing that game. And I was like, you know what? I can't do that. And that was even like with working at the time, so I wasn't even like on it constantly for the whole day or anything like that. You know, that was just me like checking it periodically, like trying to catch a few things. And yeah, maybe that was an anomaly. I'm not sure, but
maybe
it definitely wasn't something that I was like, you know, after that I was like, okay, there's no way I could do this on a regular basis. I can't go out every day and play Pokemon Go for a couple hours, come back home and, you know, be like where all my friends were and like where everyone else is. That just wasn't possible for me.
Yeah. I feel like and this might not be true, that like anybody that had data issues probably had probably had something to do with the servers and trying to connect to the servers, because that like in the first like 2 months of the game being live, there were so many server issues because of traffic.
The amount of people, there
was like the first week was terrible to play. Like you almost could not play the game because there was so much traffic to the Go servers, and it's like they're like, oh god, we don't know what to do. We didn't expect 10 million people in the first week to be playing our game. Shit, we don't have the server space for this. So I mean, that's probably not true that the whole like trying to connect to the servers thing like ate up data or anything, but
that's your excuse.
That's gonna be my excuse.
All right, cool.
Because I feel like it's logical.
All right, so what's the consensus here, boys?
Consensus for me, way too late, but it is possible for the game to make a comeback as the weather warms up. That's entirely on Niantic, and see if they learned any mistakes from last year.
Okay, Tyler?
I agree with Ethan.
Gordon?
I think the game from its like entire beginning is kind of a gimmick in its own right, and that
as with most mobile games,
it's gonna get its resurgence a little bit with the weather and maybe with the update. I think it already has its niche, and it's probably gonna keep that. That's probably all that's ever really gonna keep coming with it, because there's nothing really you can get out of it.
Yeah,
it's like you can hold the gym, but that's about it. I never even gotten to the point in that game in which you fight the gym anyway, because it depends on the lifestyle.
I fought a gym, but I was never like where I lived. There wasn't very much like to choose from catching wise, and when it was like I have a Gengar, and that's my highest like level thing, and it's not very good like in the game anyway. So, but I agree with you that it's a gimmick, and that's all it like will ever be is a gimmick. I don't think it has the chance of ever hitting any sort of like big relevancy again anyway. I think possibly in the summer there might be a resurgence for a month at most, and that's dependent on whether the weather is like even that good during the summer, and if they follow through with continuing to update the game and add in more Pokemon. But like I said, you can't really call it at this point whether that's going to even happen or not. So for now, I will stand by my point. The game is dead. Deserves to be dead. They didn't really do anything to make it not dead. So
they didn't treat it right.
So yeah, cool. Anything else you guys want to touch on briefly before we wrap up here? Anything burning your pants that you need to fucking...
I need something in this space right
You
here.
do. It's kind of empty.
It's There's so much negative space, and I can't stand like
just zoom your camera in.
I can't stand like sitting up straight in my chair like this all the time.
Just move your camera.
I'm so used to kicking my feet up.
You could just move your camera to point where you normally sit.
I mean, I can't like turn my camera.
Would you like me to send you a Arachne Monster Musume poster?
No. Dude. I want.
Because I'm in possession.
I have a like a big Gurren Lagann wall scroll that I moved to the other side of my room that I could probably just use. It was right there where the Kill la Kill one was, but I got the Kill la Kill one, and I was like, all right, this is going here, right here, because I love it.
I have stuff on the wall behind my camera that you cannot see. Yeah. But you get to look at my beautiful fucking my model kits.
The Gundams, yeah. To my photographer's eye, that's just like so.
Yeah. Bleh. Cool. Well, if that brings us to the end of the show, a little giveaway to do here. So everybody that is in chat, just be active.
Spam your PogChamps.
Plus spam PogChamps. Do spam something. I don't know what you want to spam, but spam something.
You gonna put in a keyword?
I will. Oh, you know what? I might put in a keyword. The keyword is PogChamp. Like the emote.
Panic. Keyword is PogChamp.
You have to make sure it's like actually spelled correctly.
Yeah, it has to put the emote in the chat. That's the only way you can.
Oh boy.
It's the only way you can.
4 PogChamps here. I'll add one. I don't want anything, but I'll add one.
It's okay. I have you turned off anyway.
Shit, dude.
I'm gonna wait a minute or two here just to get everybody to spam their PogChamps.
Oh yeah, because delays.
Delays, yeah.
I think the only game I wanted to play off of the list was Stardew Valley. Oh, the other games I wanted to play I already have. Just with Steam sales. Stardew Valley.
Stardew Valley.
You've got relationship diversity in that game, and it is amazing.
Oh, the double PogChamp. That's what I like to see.
He might be doing it big. Again, if you want a chance to win some free games, please spam PogChamp.
Break out your PogChamps, boys.
Otherwise, only 3 people here have a chance at winning. Otherwise, so please.
Yeah, or else we're gonna have to get in on the giveaway.
Yeah, I'll have to start dipping
as much as I love taking things from Cam.
I'll start have to dipping into the mod funds here.
Oh shit.
The mod funds.
The mod funds.
Cam doesn't pay us well.
Where's my code?
O'Reilly
We don't even make minimum wage. We don't even get commission.
O'Reilly spammed Craigasm. He's not eligible.
Oh
once
shit.
Once we get what's it called? Sponsored by the Steam box, the Steam crate.
Space's friend. I think they're already here.
Yeah.
Yeah, spam the fucking Taco Bell one, easy.
No.
Is anybody else left in the group here that I think one other person who is a random viewer.
The 2 people I had that were viewing are probably in bed now.
Circanite, I see you in the chat if you're interested in getting some free video games.
Plus,
give me the PogChamps.
So this is time to post my dank memes. My Moon 2 smug.
No. No.
Here we go.
Do I have any emotes still, or
Tyler's favorite chat emote. There we go.
Yeah, they're probably dead. Oh god, the Spike.
Spike.
I was watching Spike play fucking Paper Mario last night.
All right, boys. Time to roll.
Raffle time.
Ionic Flux, Many Greetings Friend, and Terror Berry 101. You 3 are the 3 that are eligible here. And the winner is, for the first of 3 games,
it's
Many Greetings Friend.
Hey.
Okay.
Faced with no free games.
Sydney, pick your 3 games that you want.
So my friend, my many greetings of friends here. I'm gonna give you a list of games here. I will. How am I gonna go about this?
Can you message him?
Maybe Gyazo link the games.
Okay, that's a good idea. Okay.
Might be a good idea.
There's gonna be a lot of Gyazos, but that's fine.
Oh, do you not have like the? You're right.
It's a bunch of different links.
Yeah.
Mary Snack, what a good one. What a good emote.
Here, I'll grab a bunch of these.
Let me take the pasta off the stove. Hold on, it's boiling. Who's making pasta at 11:30? Wait.
That's the best time to make pasta, though.
The best time to wear a striped sweater. It's
the
all
best
the time.
to wear a striped sweater.
It's all the time.
Yep, me too.
Try to wear the collar. Turtleneck.
This is our.
Is this what the podcast has just evolved
This
to?
is our humble bundle music as I proceed to screenshot all the games.
It's a lot of games.
We maybe should have screenshotted them before we did the raffle, but
It's fine, don't worry.
True.
we can let the
Yo.
show go on for a little.
Yeah,
I,
it's fine.
I think my
Who
favorite
likes
meme.
pesto? Ew.
I think my favorite meme right now is the fucking. I don't even know the name of the song, but it's the
Bag Raiders. It's called Shooting Stars by Bag
Oh
Raiders.
my god!
I actually love
okay,
that song.
yeah.
That whole
It's
album
so
is
good.
like that whole album is actually very, very good.
I love the
Yeah.
remix.
I loved the one that I put in the Discord chat the other day of Emperor Palpatine, like.
Oh
spinning.
yeah, flying.
I put that in the chat earlier today, actually.
He flies through space as the Death Star beams from Force Awakens.
Have you seen that one? The one I just posted in the main chat?
Oh, let's see.
In the meme chat. Wait, I forgot that was the thing.
Alright.
Yeah,
No, I haven't.
This one's so good.
Alright, many greetings, friend. I'm gonna send you these in a whisper. These are screenshots of the games that are available. There's a lot of screenshots, so just please bear with me while I do this.
You can literally just type that into like anything and it's like perfect. Do with like iDubbbz.
Because we don't have a hell of a lot of viewers today, we're gonna do just this one big giveaway. So this week, Many Greetings Friend is our winner. I will slowly but surely get through all of these games and give them away. If you've won once, you are exempt from further winning, though. Just a heads up.
You can only win once, boys.
So make your 3 games count. Next week we'll tear through the rest of these. And this is the last of the links. There you go. So when you've decided what 3 games you want, just whisper back to me, and I will send you the codes to them. That way you can redeem them and play them to your heart's content. Or don't, I guess. Like, that's fine. I guess you could redeem them and not play them. Yeah, waste my time is what you could do.
Waste his time, 2017.
So you can decide those. We're gonna end the show now. I'll give you the codes when we're done.
Yeah, and if you want, I know this person IRL, so if they want to text me, I can tell you, Cam,
Cool.
and I can relay information.
Okay, I'll stay in on Twitch for a bit as we finish up, so that they can.
Don't doubt my powers.
So that they can message me back though.
Alright.
Thanks for coming along, everybody. The show tonight. Another good set of discussion we've had, and I'm sure we'll have more next week. But if you need to find me anywhere, you can follow me at Truth Unarmed right here. It should be around here anyway. find me there. I talk about random stuff. You can see me post my my homework screenshots on there, and just complain from time to time. So, Tyler, what can they find you at, my friend?
You know what? I'll actually start posting my my homework pictures on my Twitter.
Nice.
At Topiner. On the screen right
on the
there.
Screen right there. You're touching it. You're caressing it right here.
Don't caress the Topiner, please.
Gordon, where can you find it?
You can find me at Grodin42 on Twitter and twitch.tv/Grodin.
Nice.
Those are the two main places you'll see more wacky Guitar Hero full players and Overwatch gameplay, probably.
Nice. And Ethan, my friend.
Hey, you can find me at Cowboy Cryptid on Twitter. That is currently the only place you can find me, as I do not stream. Though that may change recently. I've been playing a lot of Psychonauts lately, and speedrunning tactics in that game are pretty straightforward and pretty easy to pick up on. So maybe within the next 6 months or so, probably around towards summer, I might start speedrunning that and streaming that. But definitely, as of right now, Cowboy Cryptid on Twitter. So, by all means, if you feel like following, go ahead and follow. Appreciate it, fam.
Cool. Well, thanks for coming along, everybody. We'll be back next week, Monday, 9:30 p.m. EST. Till then, have a good week. Stay safe, and have we figured a name out for this show yet, guys?
The TBD show.
I thought we were never figuring out a name for the show. I thought that
You're
was
right.
I thought that was the
That is the joke. That's the joke we're gonna do. I'm just gonna ask that every week, so we can come up with a random name.
Kappa!